When the gods divided. Before religions wrote their truth, there was an era when gods walked among men. The ancients called them Anunnaki, those who descended from the sky to the earth. They molded the human being with clay and fire, mixing their own essence with the matter of this world. Not out of love, but out of purpose. Man was creation and experiment, a bridge between flesh and divinity. But the spark they placed within us awoke too soon. Knowledge, that sacred fire, ignited the rebellion of the human soul. And then the sky divided. Enlil, god of authority, saw in humanity a mistake. A species that had to be contained, punished, purified.
Enki, god of wisdom and compassion, saw in that mistake the seed of evolution. One sought to erase man from the map of time. The other defended him, even knowing he would defy the heavens. The flood was the result of that silent war. Water swept the earth, but not memory. Now, after the cataclysm, the world is reborn. Men rebuild temples, look to the sky again, and believe the gods have gone. But they have not. On the tablets of Sumer, an ancient warning is read. After the waters, the sky will break. For when the gods divided, creation itself was split with them, and the same fire that gave life to humanity began to destroy it. This episode is part of the saga, The Gods Before God, a journey to decipher the hidden origin of humanity and the forbidden history of those who came from the sky. If you arrive here for the first time, remember there are previous chapters on the channel where we reveal the secrets of the Anunnaki, the lost paradise called Dilmun, and the birth of man from clay and blood. You can watch them to understand the beginning of this story, or stay here, because everything that was is about to repeat itself.
The origin of the war, the judgment of creation. The waters of the flood had receded, but the silence they left was not peace. It was the echo of a dispute the sky had not yet resolved. From on high, Enlil watched the earth. Where once there were temples and obedience, he now saw ruins, and men beginning to think for themselves. For him, that was an offense, a crack in the divine order. They are imperfect, he declared. Their free will corrupt them. If they keep the spark you gave them, Enki, eventually they'll believe themselves gods. To Enlil, humanity was an aberration, a failed experiment to be controlled or erased. The world had to return to the purity of silence, where only the gods decided what deserved to exist. But Enki, who had walked among men, didn't see corruption. He saw reflection. They are not a mistake, he replied. They are the continuation of what we are. Thus, the conflict that had remained hidden since the flood was brought before the Council of Anu, the assembly of gods who ruled the heavens. There, beneath columns of fire and wind, the brothers presented their judgment. The air was charged with divine electricity. Every word could be decree or sentence. Enlil spoke first, with a voice that made the mountains tremble. I propose erasing all trace of them. Their existence threatens the order of the cosmos. But Enki interrupted him. His voice did not roar. It shone. You cannot destroy what already breathes with our essence. Silence. A silence heavier than thunder. That day, the conflict ceased to be ideological. It was no longer about man, but about the gods themselves. The council split, the sky fractured, and the fate of humanity hung between two wills, punishment and compassion. For when the gods judge their own creation, what they are truly judging is themselves.
The punishment. Enlil's shadow. After the judgment, the sky darkened. The gods left the council, but Enlil's words hung like invisible swords over the earth. The god of command had lost patience. Humanity, this mixed creation, half clay, half eternity, was no longer seen as an achievement, but as a threat. Enlil descended amid clouds of fire and storm. The air split at his passing. His presence was felt before his voice. Winds halted, rivers recoiled, and the sky roared with a tone men had never heard. He did not come to negotiate. He came to impose silence. For days the sky turned gray, and the earth barren. Crops withered, animals fled, and men began to kneel not out of devotion, but out of fear. Thus was born the first cult of terror, a god of thunder and punishment, a god who demanded blood and obedience, who ruled through fear of his wrath. The tablets remember it as the time of the roar of the heavens. No one looked upward without trembling, but Enki from the depths watched. He knew his brother's justice was a mask for fear. For what Enlil feared was not man's rebellion, but his awakening. And so, while Enlil destroyed temples, Enki began to build consciousness. While one sowed fear, the other lit curiosity. Punishment unknowingly gave birth to the surge, for when man lost the protection of the sky, he discovered he could look within. And there, patron. The fire was lit again. The power of thunder couldn't extinguish what Enki had left in human blood, the memory of knowledge. Enlil's shadow covered the world, but in that same instant, Enki's light began to grow beneath the earth.
Enki's compassion, the god who stayed among men. While the heavens burned under Enlil's shadow, the silence of the earth filled with prayers. Men no longer asked for life, they asked for understanding. Then Enki, god of the deep waters and eternal wisdom, descended once more to the mortal world. He did not come with fire or thunder. He came with knowledge. He taught them to read the cycles of the sky and the sowing. He showed them how to heal with herbs, how to use water, how to rebuild what heaven's wrath had destroyed. He did not give them faith. He gave them science. He taught that the true temple was not built of stone, but of understanding. And so, where Enlil had left desolation, Enki sowed purpose. Where punishment had raised fear, he awakened consciousness. The tablets recall him as the god who remained among men, the one who walked among them without demanding worship, the one who spoke with a human voice to remind them of their divine origin. But his compassion had a price. From the heavens, Enlil watched in fury. Each teaching was an affront, each seed a rebellion. Thus, spiritual war became divine war. The conflict was no longer between gods, but between two visions of the soul. One destroyed temples to impose obedience. The other built consciousness to free the spirit. While Enlil destroys temples, wrote a Sumerian priest, Enki builds consciousness. And in that silent act, Enki lit the most dangerous fire in the universe, the awakened mind. For knowledge cannot be undone, nor can the soul that understands ever sleep again.
The War of the Gods. Fire against water. The sky trembled, order shattered. The earth, once a field of creation, became a battlefield. From his throne of wind and fire, Enlil ordered the heavenly hosts to restore balance. His bolts fell like spears upon temples. His storms razed entire cities, and his voice thundered through the valleys like an echo of divine wrath. The message was clear: obey or perish. But Enki, from the depths of the abyss, answered with neither weapons nor thunder. His power was not fire. It was water. The same water that had cleansed the world now rose to protect it. From springs and rivers, wisdom spread like a living current. Men began to remember the teachings, to look beyond fear, to rekindle the inner fire Enlil sought to extinguish. Then the sky burned and the sea roared. Fire against water, authority against understanding, punishment against compassion. The tablets speak of a radiance so intense that day and night were confused. Mountains opened, seas rose, and the sky split in two. It was not only a war of power, it was a war of purpose. Enlil wished to preserve the divine order, but Enki wanted man to learn to create his own. Thus, the eternal conflict began to right itself through every era, gods contending for the soul of man, one seeking to dominate it, the other to liberate it. Since then, the storm has not ceased. It only changed form. It no longer thunders in the sky. It rumbles within every human being, for the war of the gods did not end. It only changed its battlefield. Today, each time you choose between fear and awareness, between punishment and compassion, fire and water meet again.
The exile. The silence after the thunder. The fire went out. The waters calmed. The sky, exhausted by its own fury, fell silent. The gods beheld the result of their war. Toppled temples, ruined cities, and a world that no longer looked up with devotion, but with fear. Judgment from the heavens had concluded, and though neither would admit it, victory belonged to silence. From his clouded throne, Enlil decreed his brother's banishment. Enki, the one who taught men, who gave the fire of knowledge, was condemned to remain on earth among those he had defended. A god among mortals, a flame surrounded by clay. Meanwhile, Enlil ascended the firmament, swearing he would return when men forgot their origin, when fear once again replaced awareness. Thus, the sky was sundered forever, and humanity inherited that division within its own soul. One half that fears, and one that understands. Thunder became a symbol of power, and water a symbol of wisdom. Both still flow within us, awaiting which will prevail. From then on, Enki no longer spoke with words. He spoke with inspiration. In every artist, every sage, every rebellious spirit, his voice remained alive, whispering through dreams. Do not fear knowledge. Fear those who hide it. And so, when thunder ceased, something stronger than the gods was born. Human consciousness. For the heavens may divide, but a spark of the divine always chooses to remain.
Echoes of the sky. The sky no longer speaks with lightning. It only whispers inside those who still remember it. The tablets ended, temples gathered dust, and the gods' names dissolved across the centuries. But their story did not disappear. It transformed. Men, not fully grasping what they had witnessed, called that memory faith. They forged new names, new symbols, new heavens for the same gods. Enlil, Lord of Command, would return with other faces, other tongues, another name, Yahweh, God of fire, war, and judgment. Enki, bearer of knowledge, would also return, not with a sword, but with a word. His essence would be reborn in the one who preached love over sacrifice, light over punishment, life over law. The spirit time would come to know as Jesus. Thus, the ancient conflict of the sky continued its course through human history, no longer between bolts and waters, but between gospels and commandments. Man became the new battlefield, his mind the new war, his soul the territory contested by two divine wills. And to this day, each time someone chooses between fear and understanding, between punishment and forgiveness, between the God who demands obedience and the one who offers awareness, the sky splits again. For the war of the gods never ended. It only changed its name, EXILE. The echo of that battle still resonates within us. And perhaps true redemption does not lie in waiting for the gods, but in remembering that once we were one of them.